Right now, behind the scenes at Arsenal, there is movement, serious movement, the kind that does not make headlines until the paperwork is nearly done. The club are putting together a financial package aimed at one of Real Madrid's most underused attacking players. His name is Brahim Diaz. He is 26 years old. He plays for Real Madrid, and Arsenal want him this summer. The situation is clear. Arsenal are preparing a package that includes 35 million euros plus bonuses. That figure in British pounds sits at approximately 30 million pounds. In United States dollars, it comes to around $40 million. That is the opening bid they intend to test Real Madrid with. Not a confirmed transfer, not a done deal. This is a rumor at this stage, and it is important to say that clearly. But the direction of travel is very specific, and that tells us something important about how Mikel Arteta is thinking ahead to next season. So why does this matter so much right now? Because Arsenal are in a genuinely historic position this season. They are competing for the Premier League title. They are still alive in the Champions League. They are still in the FA Cup. That is a potential treble. And yet, even in the middle of that run, the club are already planning for the summer. That tells you everything about the ambition at this club right now. If Arsenal do nothing this summer, they risk standing still while other clubs improve around them. The evidence suggests that Arteta knows this. He is not waiting until the season ends to identify targets. The work is already happening, and Brahim Diaz is at this moment one of the names at the top of that list. If you are watching this and you want deeper analysis on stories like this every single week, hit that subscribe button now. This channel breaks down what is really happening at Arsenal, not just the headlines. Subscribe and you will never miss a thing. Now, let us go through this carefully because there are layers here that casual coverage is missing entirely. Brahim Diaz is a Real Madrid player. He has been at the club and has played 31 times this season. In those appearances, he has scored 1 goal and provided 6 assists. Those are not spectacular numbers for an attacking player, but they tell a story on their own. He is being used, he is contributing, but he is not a guaranteed starter. He has never been a regular in the starting lineup under any manager at Real Madrid. That is a crucial detail. It means he has ability, but it also means Real Madrid have never fully trusted him to be their main man. His contract runs until the summer of 2027. That is 1 year beyond this coming summer. And that creates an interesting situation. If Real Madrid refuse to sell this summer, Diaz could walk away as a free agent in just 2 years. That gives Arsenal some leverage in negotiations. No club wants to lose a player for nothing when they could have sold him for a significant fee just 12 months earlier. Now, here is where the rumour gets complicated. Arsenal are preparing 35 million euros plus bonuses, but Real Madrid are not actively looking to sell. The current understanding is that if Diaz himself expresses a desire to leave, Real Madrid will consider letting him go. However, the Spanish club will demand between 40 million and 45 million euros. In British pounds, that is up to 39 million. In dollars, that is up to 52 million. That gap between what Arsenal are preparing to offer and what Real Madrid want to receive is real. It is not a small gap either. We are talking about a difference of up to 10 million euros. Negotiations would be required, and there is no guarantee they succeed. Tottenham Hotspur are also in this picture. Their interest in Diaz is not new. It was reported as far back as the 30th of January of this year that Spurs were keen on him. So Arsenal are not operating in a private market here. There is competition, and that competition could drive the price upward. Now let us talk about the tactical question that very few people are addressing, honestly. Arteta reportedly wants to use Diaz as a creative partner alongside Martin Odegaard. The idea is to unlock teams that sit in a low block. That sounds exciting on paper. 2 creative technical players working together in the final third. But the reality for the club is that the lineup is already very full in those positions. Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi are the 2 central midfielders. They are guaranteed starters. That means the space in front of them is where Odegaard operates. If you also want to fit Diaz into that area, you are asking 2 players to share 1 position. That simply does not work structurally unless Arteta changes the formation significantly. Diaz is versatile. He can play as an attacking midfielder, on the right wing, on the left wing, as a second striker, and even as a centre forward. That versatility is one of his biggest selling points. However, the positions that make the most sense for him at Arsenal have complications. He is most effective on the right wing, but Bukayo Saka plays there. And Saka, despite a difficult season by his own high standards, is not going to be dropped. On the left, there are already options. And in the number 10 role, Odegaard is the first name on the team sheet. So the honest analytical question is this: where exactly does Brahim Diaz fit in this Arsenal side? The answer is not as obvious as the initial excitement around this rumour suggests. Arsenal fans should be enthusiastic about ambition in the transfer market, but they should also ask whether this specific player solves a specific problem or whether he would simply add to a squad that already has attacking talent without clear direction for how to use it. This is a rumour at the moment and must be treated as one. The price gap is real and will need to close before anything happens. But the most important thing to take away from this story is the signal it sends. Arsenal are already working on next season. That is a sign of genuine ambition. However, the best transfer business is always about identifying the right fit, not just the right name. Brahim Diaz is an excellent player. Real Madrid have used him carefully across many seasons. But excellent players who do not have a clear role in a tactical system often become expensive squad options rather than game changers. Arsenal need to be sure they are solving a real problem and not just adding star quality for its own sake. Friday night at Wembley Stadium, England are playing Uruguay in an international friendly. Noni Madueke, Arsenal's winger, starts the game. And then, without warning, he goes down. A strong challenge catches him, and the pain on his face tells the story immediately. He cannot continue. He comes off the pitch. And what happens next is deeply concerning for every Arsenal supporter. A video has now emerged. The footage was posted on X by a journalist from The Athletic. It shows Madueke walking through the mix zone after the game. He is limping, and on his left knee there is a brace. That image is hard to look at as an Arsenal fan, because right now, Arsenal simply cannot afford another injury. The injury list at Arsenal during this international break is already alarming. William Saliba has stayed back in London. Gabriel Magalhaes has stayed back in London. Leandro Trossard is there too. Eberechi Eze has not travelled. Jurien Timber remains in London. And Martin Odegaard, the captain, the creative heart of this team, he is also not with his national team due to injury. That is 6 players, 6 important first-team players, sitting out of international duty. And now Madueke could become the 7th name on that list. This is not a small problem. This is a structural crisis for a club trying to win a Premier League title, stay alive in the Champions League, and progress in the FA Cup. The evidence suggests that the squad depth is about to be tested in a way it has not been tested all season. If you want to stay ahead of every development at Arsenal during what is shaping up to be the most important weeks of the season, hit that subscribe button right now. Jessica Arsenal Analysis gives you the full picture every single time. Let us talk about Noni Madueke and what his injury could actually mean for Arsenal in practical terms. Dueke is not just a player who fills a position. He has become a genuinely important player for Arsenal since his arrival from Chelsea. There was skepticism when he signed. People questioned the logic of the move, questioned whether he was the right profile. But he answered his doubters with his performances. He won the fans over. He has been effective enough that some supporters have even called for him to displace Bukayo Saka in the starting 11. That is a significant statement about how far he has come in the eyes of the Arsenal fan base. Now, we do not yet have a confirmed diagnosis. It is possible the knee brace is precautionary. Players sometimes wear protective equipment as a precaution after taking a knock, even when the damage is minimal. But the fact that he is limping, the fact that the brace is visible, and the fact that there was genuine confusion about the type of injury he suffered during the game itself, all of this points to a situation that needs to be taken seriously. If Madueke is ruled out for any period of time, Arteta faces a genuine headache on the right side of attack. Saka has not been at his best this season. That is an honest assessment based on the situation as it stands. Madueke's form has given Arteta cover and competition on that side of the pitch. Without him, the options become thinner. The teenager who enters the conversation immediately is Max Dowman. He is 16 years old. He became the youngest goal scorer in Premier League history when he scored in Arsenal's 2-0 win over Everton earlier this month. That is a staggering achievement. But being the youngest scorer in Premier League history is a very different thing from being ready to carry a team's right-wing responsibilities during a title run, a Champions League campaign, and an FA Cup challenge simultaneously. Arteta may have no choice. If Madueke's injury is serious and Saka continues to operate below his best, then Dowman could find himself thrown into the most high-stakes period of the season at the age of 16. The question of whether that is the right thing for him as a young player and the right thing for Arsenal as a club trying to win trophies is one that deserves serious thought. The international break gives Arsenal's medical team some time to assess the damage, but every day that passes without clarity on Madueke's condition is another day where Arteta cannot fully plan his approach for the games ahead. And those games are enormous. The timing of this injury is about as bad as it could be. Arsenal are in the middle of a defining period of their season. The injury list is already too long, and now their most informed wide player may be added to it. The image of Madueke leaving Wembley in a knee brace is not the kind of thing that inspires confidence. Arsenal need clarity on this as quickly as possible. If it is precautionary, brilliant. If it is serious, then Arteta and the coaching staff need to make decisions quickly about how they restructure the attack. The margin for error at this stage of the season is almost zero. 16 years old, the youngest goal scorer in Premier League history. Those two facts alone should be enough to make anyone sit up and take notice of Max Dowman. And yet there are serious voices in football media right now arguing that his best move, possibly his only smart move, is to leave Arsenal as soon as possible. That is the debate that is now very much alive, and it deserves a thorough, honest examination. This is not about whether Dowman is talented. Nobody is questioning that. The discussion is about whether Arsenal under Mikel Arteta is the right environment for him to develop, grow, and eventually become the player his talent suggests he can be. The stakes here are enormous, and they are long-term. If Dowman stays at Arsenal and his development stagnates, the club could lose one of the most exciting academy prospects they have produced in years. They would not lose him to a rival in a transfer. They would lose the best version of him by keeping him in a situation where he cannot get consistent game time and trust from his manager. On the other side, if he leaves too early, he leaves the stability, the resources, and the top-level environment that a club like Arsenal can provide. Getting that balance right matters enormously for a 16-year-old at the very beginning of what could be an exceptional career. And this conversation is not happening in isolation. It is happening because of what has already happened to other academy players at Arsenal under Arteta. That is the real context here, and it is impossible to ignore. The argument being made loudly in media circles is built on a pattern. Look at the young players who have come through Arsenal's academy and broken into the first team picture during Arteta's time in charge. Look at what has happened to them, and then ask whether Dowman should expect a different outcome. Miles Lewis-Skelly is the first example that has been raised. He is an academy graduate who has featured for the first team. He even broke into the England national team, which is a remarkable achievement. But right now, Lewis-Skelly is not in Arteta's regular plans. In Arsenal's last 9 Premier League games, he has been an unused substitute. He is listed as third-choice left-back behind Piero Hincapié and Riccardo Calafiori. He was a midfielder in the youth team, reached a Youth Cup final in midfield, and now finds himself unable to even get onto the pitch as a left-back in league football. His trajectory has gone backwards, and he is not going to the World Cup. Ethan Nwaneri is the second example. Another academy product. Another player who was used by Arteta in the first team, perhaps the argument goes, as a way of demonstrating that the manager is willing to play young players. But when the real decisions came, Nwaneri was sent on loan to Marseille in League One with no recall clause inserted into the agreement. No recall clause. That means if Arsenal needed him back, they could not bring him home. That is an unusual decision for a player who was supposedly part of the club's first team future. At Marseille, under new manager Habib Beye, Nwaneri has quickly slipped down the pecking order. The loan has been difficult. These two cases form the foundation of the argument that Dowman should leave. The logic goes like this. Arteta will keep signing senior attacking players in the transfer market. Saka is on the right wing and will not be dropped. Madueke is also ahead of Dowman on that side, despite playing poorly in the Carabao Cup final against Manchester City. And yet Arteta did not bring Dowman on in that final. Arsenal was struggling. The moment called for something different, something unexpected. Dowman, the player who had just made Premier League history, was not given that chance. He stayed on the bench. The Carabao Cup final result has already been confirmed. Arsenal lost to Manchester City. Whether Dowman could have changed that outcome is impossible to say. But the fact that he was not given the opportunity when the team needed a spark says something about where he currently sits in the manager's thinking. Now, it is also important to be balanced here. Dowman is 16 years old. Protecting a 16-year-old from too much pressure too soon is not always bad management. There is a genuine argument that holding him back from the most intense moments of a season is actually the responsible thing to do for his development. Not every manager who does not play a young player is making a mistake. Sometimes the patience is correct. But the counter argument is this. If the player is good enough and the moment calls for something different and the team is struggling, then giving him that opportunity is exactly what trust looks like. Arteta did not do that in the cup final. The situation regarding Dowman's position at the club is also complicated by the transfer market activity described in the first story we covered today. If Arsenal bring in Brahim Diaz this summer, or make any other significant attacking signing, the pathway for Dowman on the right wing becomes even narrower. Saka is there, Madueke is there, a potential new signing could arrive, and Dowman is 16. The suggestion has even been made that Dowman should consider a move to Spain for his development. That is a significant step to recommend for a teenager, but it reflects how serious the concern is about whether he can get the game time and trust he needs at Arsenal right now. What is clear is that Dowman has already shown he belongs at the top level. Scoring in the Premier League at 16, becoming the youngest scorer in the competition's history, is not a small thing. That is a historical achievement. The question is not whether he is talented enough. The question is whether this is the club and this is the manager who will give him the environment he needs to become the player his talent deserves. This is one of the most genuinely difficult debates in Arsenal's current situation. The evidence from Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri is hard to dismiss. Both players have seen their careers slow down under Arteta in different ways. And the decision not to use Dowman in the cup final when Arsenal needed a moment of inspiration does raise honest questions. At the same time, 16-year-olds should not be expected to carry the weight of a club's trophy ambitions. The real test will come in the next few months. If Madueke is injured and Dowman gets his chance, what Arteta does with him will tell us everything we need to know about his plans for this young man. If he plays him, trusts him, and gives him real minutes in meaningful games, the argument for leaving weakens. If he continues to look past him in favour of established senior options, then the people urging Dowman to find a new home will have a very strong case indeed. Either way, this is a story that will define not just Dowman's career, but the way this Arsenal era is remembered in terms of developing its own talent. That is everything for today on Jessica Arsenal Analysis. 3 stories, a major transfer rumour that raises as many questions as it answers, an injury scare that could not have come at a worse time, and a debate about a 16-year-old that goes to the heart of how this club manages its future. If you found this analysis useful, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below telling me which of these 3 stories worries you the most as an Arsenal fan. I will be back with more analysis very soon. Thank you for watching.